Does that work?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, then we can finally start. But this is the end of the presentation, so I'll just quickly go to the start, which is here. So we are, my name is Inte, and I'm presenting with Ania, and we are presenting the Feminist Finance zine and the Feminist Finance syllabus. And let me see. We're basically going to be talking about zines as this place for kind of a third space, a non-academic in-between interdisciplinary space. And here you see on the left the zine that we made, but also the syllabus that, and we'll kind of talk you through this kind of continuing process that started a little bit before Corona arrived in the Netherlands, but also took us to the depths of some heavy lockdowns, and how those two things kind of interacted. This project was kind of a way for people, while these lockdowns were happening, to find new connections with people with shared values and interest in times when it was difficult. So as we will show a bit later, the specific formats and interactions that we designed and organized afforded exchanges across localities, disciplines, experiences that are hard to establish in a purely academic setting. And we'll talk through this process by focusing on 3 topics. So first, bridging disciplines, then Ania will take over talking about connecting with a broader community, and how we kind of start to know together. So bridging the disciplines is something that Ania and me already do in our collaboration. I represent maybe the more academic research angle, while Ania is more situated in a cultural space, even though both of us already kind of start to blur those boundaries as well in our work. But it all started, this collaboration, at MoneyLab 7, which was a conference that my research group organized. It's called Outside of Finance, and we had this session called Beyond the Blockchain, the Crypto Feminist Agenda. So this the theme of feminist finance was present in the conference, but it was not the main topic yet. And being one of the organizers in the conference, so I was involved in setting the kind of research focus, and in particular also this kind of feminist aspect. And while the conference was funded by institutionally available research funding, the zine could be made with cultural funding that was available to amateur cities. And by tactically using these kind of different dimensions of financial support, we were able to kind of fork the conference topic to a more activist, radical, and politicized lens. And this was something that amateur cities that Ania represents wanted to dive deeper into, and they played a central role also in designing the format of the exchanges. So here you see some screenshots of some prints from the pages of the zine. So the yellow part is a kind of a double interview where we asked speakers from with different expertises to kind of come together for the first time, often meeting for the first time, to work through a topic together and to react to each other's point of view through the lens that we offered them. And on the red bit is quick fire interviews that offer the space for people to bring in their thoughts on a topic side by side in a non-hierarchical way with people from different disciplines. And then we also included these artist contributions throughout the zine that reflected on the topics and the values that we were talking about in yet another way. And we're also very happy. Oh, sorry, let me just go back 1 second. So through these formats, the zine allowed for participants to kind of reframe their contributions to the conference through a more precise and a more politicized lens. And in this way, the zine was not really a documentation of the conference, but rather an extension and really a feminist reading of each of the contributors' work. And we're also happy to say that the zine format is now also something that is continued by my research group. For example, these two zines that came out recently about post-precarity and a toolkit for beginning artists and the lazy art of the screenshots. We'll share some links how to find these as well. And then it's on to Ania.
Yes, so while we wanted to use the zine to create new connections within the conference and its participants itself, we also wanted it to be an instigator for creating new connections within a broader community. And the distribution of the zine was one of the ways in which we wanted to do that. So while we only printed around 300 copies and we wanted to encourage zine crossing to reach as many people as we could, we invited people to pass on the zines through this kind of library format, library card format that we included on the cover of the zine, which would allow you to see in whose hands was the zine before and where did it go next. But we also wanted to get a glimpse of these ways that the zines traveled and the communities they reached. So we included a little note where we asked people to reach out to us when they get to read the zine or they get to know about it. And even though that the zine was published already 2 years ago, we keep on receiving these messages. And sometimes it's just a little FYI note like, hey, I just got to know about your zine. But sometimes it's really something that emerges into larger conversations, publication exchanges, or even invitations to collaborate. Another dimension in which the zine became a connector for different communities were the events that we launched instead of the traditional way of presenting the zine in a community space that we originally envisioned. That wasn't possible because of COVID. And we also did not want to make another video conference presentation. So we invited people to an online conversation, live online conversation of a different sort next. So instead of taking this conversation to take place in a video conference or a live presentation in a physical space, it took place on Twitter. And the liveliness of that conversation also overwhelmed us to a certain extent. And we really wanted to document all of the local examples, reading recommendations, thoughts and questions that were shared during these events in a very unruly Twitter-like manner. We decided to turn it into what we call the Feminist Finance syllabus that can be seen as an add-on to the zine. So this is how we, let's say, like use the Twitter format into a more edited format and strung all of the conversations into hashtags, and the orange links stand for the references to the original threads, and the red links share a link to the resources. So these events became really a moment to share a lot of situated knowledge and connect the global community together. That's already next slide. Because this format exists outside of the traditional system of knowledge production, it allowed us to create something that was shareable, accessible, fast, and cheap, So we could distribute it digitally, and because the publication required interactivity, we could reuse the format of the graphic design that we already had, but we really wanted to string it into a coherent reflection and keep the conversational character of the original exchange. So we also wished for these conversations to continue. And while it's challenging to do, we thought it was crucial to enable that. So we also connected each of the chapters to a particular hashtag. And some of them took off, some of them didn't. But we hope that this maybe will continue sometime in the future, maybe instigated by us, maybe somebody else. And we think that this space for knowing together and sharing situated knowledges is showing a lot of potential, and we were really happy to share it with you. And the zine and the syllabus can be still downloaded. The physical copies are circulating. Maybe you will encounter them. And this is how you can find us online. Thank you so much.